I guess perception would be this is going to be a dramatically different challenge for your defense, just in terms of the style of offense they're going to face. How accurate is that, if at all?
I think it's fair to say. I mean, there's just different principles, and Eastern Washington did a fantastic job. I think both the Michigan State game and our game were similar in some ways, different in a lot of ways. Both teams were up 27-7, and who knows, little natural relaxation or deep breath on either side. Defensively, I mean, Michigan State they scored on a kickoff return, and so they're really up 27-0 from a defensive standpoint, and played tremendously well. Changed up a few things just given the score and time of the game. A lot of 10 personnel type of defense they were playing against Western Michigan, and Western Michigan gave a great effort. So I think from the standpoint of how the games played out, I think it was kind of some natural. Not that you want any of it, but a little bit of a letdown, maybe, some other things in there, but everybody will have everyone's focus this week. Connor Cook is fantastic, and he can do everything. I mean, that's when you say, their approach could be get in, 2 backs and 3 tight ends and smash it. Their approach could be 5 wide empty and throw it, and they could be equally as efficient and effective doing it. So it's a huge challenge from a schematic standpoint. They do a great job of deploying their people. They've got really 3 tailbacks that can really get it done. And they're anchored by a tremendous center in Allen, 5th-year senior that does a great job. So they're very potent offensively. Well, it has to be both. I mean, certainly from an offensive standpoint, they do a great job. They mix it up, not only their personnels, but their formation, their motion, the way they can be deceptive in their motion and then overload you in the running game is very, very difficult to stop. And then they always have enough play action and enough just base drop back in their package that you have to defend everything. And then a trigger guy that he can bring it. That guy is really accurate, great arm. Had a couple great throws just of stepping up and eluding the rush in the pocket last week. And, he did put it on the ground one time. Western Michigan got called for holdings. That got called back. But so, you have to mix it up. You have to pressure him. You have to rush him with a base look and then cover. It's, it's different. They've changed a little bit defensively, not only throughout last year, but they had obviously a couple coaching changes on their staff. They're still fantastic. They still do a great job with just a base 4-down rush and then a 6-man pressure that's kind of a hybrid, pseudo zone blitz thing where they void a zone and get after you. And then a really, really difficult nickel package to protect their blitzes that, they want you in 3rd and long like everybody, but then they can really change up their pressures and change up their coverages with they get the 2 D tackles out of the game and move some linebackers around and get an extra DB in there, and they do a great job. And so like anything, you have to be balanced. You have to have answers for those pressures. You have to be able to run the ball and stay balanced.
Mark, you had these guys here last year. How much of a factor was Autzen in your success? And what do you know about the atmosphere at Michigan State?
Well, it's awesome. Big stadium. It's their home opener, so their crowd will be going crazy. The game day, college game day being there is always a lot of fun, and the environment gets amped up that much more. And so I think it brings out the competitor in everybody, and we'll be excited to play them. They'll be excited to play us, and we'll go.
Mark, you talked about the atmosphere a little bit, but with Hagerty and Adams, and this is their first road test together, and do you guys do anything special to have them be able to communicate with the sound and not be able to talk?
We do that with everybody, not just them, but with the whole offensive unit. You've got a separate procedure that you do in a crowd noise situation, which we've done for years, and so we're obviously going to employ that, and then them having a little bit of experience doing that is I'm sure nothing but helpful.
Coach, one other question about Vernon. I know hasn't had as much time with the team so far. At this point, what has impressed you the most about his grasp of the offense? What do you feel he needs to work on the most?
Working on the most is just experience within games, making changes in game. The adjustments that you make of, hey, they're doing this, let's do that. Remember when we practice this, let's punch that up. And then I think the thing that's impressed me the most, I said the other day, for any new player, you want that if they do something wrong and it's successful, that they still know it's not correct, or vice versa. They could do something great individually and it not work, but them knowing that that's what they should have done. And for a quarterback, that's even more important. If somebody is at the wrong depth on a route, or the protection is incorrect, or something that isn't in their control, that they still did the right thing and still playing with that confidence going forward.
Mark, looking ahead at future non-conference schedules, you guys have basically one of these quote-unquote marquee non-conference games basically every year. Not every school does it that way. Why do you think these games are important or beneficial to play?
Depends on who we're playing. If I think it's good or beneficial. No, I think it looks great for the fans, and it looks great for a lot of other people. And it's a huge challenge. I mean, I have so much respect for Coach D'Antonio and what they've done and what he's done. And it's a huge challenge. Going on the road is a huge challenge. And it's a great competitive situation for our team, for our young guys, and very excited about that. Some people have different philosophies. I think it's important to test yourself and playing these guys, and our future schedule. We're definitely being tested.
Mark, secondary was obviously a point of concern following the Eastern Washington game. How have you seen them respond this week during practice?
The response has been good. I think as a whole, defensively, we didn't run to the ball well enough. We didn't tackle well enough. And that's not, hey, you didn't do this. It's how do we fix this me first, number one, and then our defensive staff, and then the individual players being committed to it together. So far, so good. Against the scout team today, it was better. But, when we get out there against Connor Cook and their tailbacks and their wideouts and the big tight ends, we'll see.
Mark, just kind of following up on Austin's question, if you guys went back and reviewed last season, was there any looking at that Michigan State game and saying, okay, this was pivotal for the new playoff format in the sense that it's strong non-conference, and does that kind of affect how you guys schedule in the future with the new playoff system?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, all I know is if you win every game, it doesn't matter. and that's just kind of my Cuspe approach to things. If you win every game, that you have no worries. As soon as you lose one game, it's out of your control. And the good/bad thing or whatever about other people's schedules is a lot of people set themselves up to win every one of those other games. And that's a fact. But that, I don't know, at some point, would it be good if a one-loss team got in over a team that played whoever in their non-conference? Maybe, but that's never going to happen. If somebody's undefeated versus a one-loss team. But again, this is global stuff that we don't control. We just need to focus on Sparty. So
there's never been any discussion of hey, here's the science of how we need to formulate our schedule now that there's a playoff.
Well, there's a lot of talk of that, but the science of it is there's TV contracts and Pac-12 network contracts and Pac-12 scheduling contracts for whatever it is 20 years, and the nine game conference schedule plus the championship game that's non-negotiable at this point. And so going from there, that's where people have different philosophies of who they're going to play in a non-conference game or not. Yeah, I think a couple things there. Their base defense is not going to change. They're unbelievable how good they are at their base defense. I think last week got into a situation, time and score of the game. They were playing a little bit more just coverage defense. Almost like a 2-minute offense type deal later in the game, and just staying vanilla. At the same time, they showed a few looks that were unconventional to give us some things to work on. But their bread and butter the base defense that they play is outstanding, and there's no reason for them to change it. They're really good.
Hi, Mark. Mark D'Antonio was talking earlier today about Michigan State's offense, how it's evolved, and he said they actually have taken, some things from you guys, as I'm sure a lot of teams have. I'm just wondering, have you ever looked at Michigan State offensive film and said, that's one of ours?
No, but I'm sure we've probably stolen from them in the past as well. Every coach is a thief at some point, and whether it's something in practice or a play or some sort of scheme that you think is helpful. But they certainly don't need our help. They've done a fantastic job. And I think the biggest thing is just, again, their versatility. It starts up front. They've got a very veteran, physical, athletic group. You see those guys not only pass protect, but just the power stuff, but then also on the perimeter in a sweep pullers type of run play. They do a fantastic job, and then they're getting their athletes the ball. The competitive part of it is awesome. Playing against a team like this is extremely challenging, and certainly on the road is even that much more of a challenge. But that's also, it's going to help you at some point. Our team, our program was better for losing to LSU in Cowboy Stadium a few years ago. As weird as that sounds, we got better from that, and we don't want to lose, but. That when you're playing LSU in Cowboy Stadium, that might happen when you're doing some of these other games. That's a possibility. But now, okay, it's a possibility to go play. I don't think, and this was the thing that was brought up earlier, nobody's ever going to reward a one-loss team over an undefeated team, and that's where I certainly understand why teams play in their mind or in your mind, nobody on their non-conference schedule. That makes a lot of sense in the modern day of the college football playoff system. But at the same time, if I'm a fan or really a fan of my team, or certainly of college football in general, these games are awesome.
Coach, is a game like this exactly the reason why you went out to get someone like Vernon to try and win these types of games?
It's why we brought Scott Frost in, is really the reason, and he's going to take over from here.
He's starting? I can tweet that?
Well, no, we can't tweet that yet. Don't
this level of game. This is a huge, obviously, national implication game. Is this type of thing you're thinking about when you bring in a guy like Vernon?
And you're trying to bring in great players at every position, and we recruit guys that we think are going to have an immediate impact, whether it's, we have 2 graduate transfers that nobody ever talks about the other one. But 2 graduate transfers this year. We have a bunch of freshmen playing on both sides, and those guys come certainly to be challenged by a team and an environment like Michigan State that presents. Yeah, we want those guys that want to play in big games, that want to maximize their existence, and part of that is being out of your comfort zone in terms of who you're playing.